You are now rocking with the 3-yard play.
Right.
We just figured out a 3-yard play, fam. We're gonna win every time.
Yeah.
Hit that link with you. Come on in.
You're tuned into the 3-Yard Play podcast. Well, the only question is, does it work for you?
Trail got wings, bitch.
We've been working all year. It's game time. We all here. We turned up. Oh yeah. Cause we finna be the champs this year. We been working all year. It's game time. We all here. We turned up. Oh yeah. Cause we finna be the champs this year. We live in weight just to hold up the trophy. Flag on the plate, cause them haters can't hold me. And 1, 2-a-days and run up the biggest hill just to sharpen up my skills. They hit the scoreboard first, I had to hit them drills. Time I get around the corner, they gon' see my new wheels. After practice, till the lights come on, till they bust ride out and they gone. That rally had us help, my teammate down the steps. Player, we got plays you ain't even seen yet. I post up and fade away like graffiti. Just don't claim it's love when you see us on TV. We been working all year. It's game time. We all here. We turned up. Oh yeah. Cause we finna be the champs this year.
3-Yard Play podcast.
We been working
brought to you by reality.
all year.
Where it is, what it is.
Game time.
You get what you get.
We all here.
So comment and let us know where you live.
Yeah. Cause we finna be the champs this year.
Hey man, welcome back to the 3-Yard Play podcast, man. This your boy, man, Trip. Shouts out T-Mo. What's up, LJ? And we got a special guest this week, man. My homeboy Q is in here from Get It Off Your Chest podcast, man. Sitting in with us as we discuss this week's topic, which, in short form, I would say is Black Lives Matter cap. But, to really expound upon that, man, in 2022/2023 at this point, let me keep up. Is protesting the best way to get results? Do we need to figure out a better way to affect change or get things to happen? We're upset as a people and we want to see action, So with that being the case, man, what's up, fellas? How y'all doing, man? Y'all all right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Glad to see another day, dog. Glad to see another
I did. Man, anybody got any feelings? Because, usually I hand the ball off, but, man, this one, I got a quarterback sneak this
Don't
thing,
jump
man.
in.
Let's go, sir.
I will be honest, man. I gotta say cap, bro. I ain't seen. I'm still in the neighborhood, man. I'm in East Point. I have not seen $1 from Black Lives Matter affect our community over there. To be quite honest, and I'm not saying it like, oh, they didn't come through breaking bread, giving out checks and turkeys, but like nothing. I mean, they haven't made any improvements at all to the community. I don't see any presence of it at all. So to think that, all those millions and millions of dollars that were collected, on the backs of basically the struggles of the people and everybody hitting the pavement, I don't feel any result, to be honest, just in my opinion.
So for me, first and foremost, to thank y'all for, blessing me to be able to come on the show. You know what I'm saying? Me and my man Triple, we go way back. You know what I mean? So I just want to say thank y'all for inviting me in, and I'm appreciative of coming on. So I'm Quincy, got my podcast, Get It Off Your Chest. You know what I'm saying? So we brothers gonna interact on this thing today. And
hey, put my bro in the big box. Can we big box that man? That's crazy. Yes, man.
That's what's up. All right, dude.
What's up?
This is cool, man. My first time doing it. And I like it, man. I'm feeling this flow, dog. You know what I'm saying? But
can you show your shirt too, man? Can you show that whole shirt for him?
Get it off your chest, man.
Yeah,
I like that. For real people with real issues, man. That's what we own. You know what I'm saying?
That's it.
So for me, I'm with my man Triple too, man. I'm calling cap. All right.
Okay.
2020, Black Lives Matter made $90 million. He made $90 million in 2020 off what he just said, off of our struggle. That was basically what, that's what they're saying. Listen, we as Black ladies and gentlemen have struggled so long. Now we here and we still facing this, that, and the third, which is right. Everything that they were saying was right. It was correct. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
But you done
Right.
the same thing. The government been swilling us the whole time. Y'all, you doing the same exact thing. So for me, it's like from the gate, I wasn't with it in the first place. I didn't do no hashtag, no Black Lives Matter. I ain't buy no shirt. I ain't buy no hat. I wouldn't associate myself with it from the jump street because it was just too nationalized. It was too corporate.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So it's like, all right, I'm gonna see how far, you know, they're gonna take this, you know what I'm saying, as far as independent wise. And sure enough, you go from 2020 making $90 million, you didn't swindle some deals somehow. Now in 2021, mid last year, 2021, you got $45 million in assets. You got people getting locked up that's associated with it because they mishandling funds. That happens every time in our community. And that right there is what I'm sick and tired of. You get the opportunity to make a change. As soon as you get the opportunity, whatever it is that you're facing, you can't face it and stand up as a proud Black man or a proud Black woman, and you fall into the same trap and you take us for the ride every time. We the ones suffer. Nobody that I know have seen anything trickle down from the Black Lives Matter movement. In my community, I ain't seen nothing. I ain't heard nothing. Nobody say, yeah, they helped me purchase this house and they helped me, get the simple things, learn how to get a checking account. Like you got to come down to the grassroots, to the people. If that's what you calling yourself, that's what you're trying to do. You got to come down here. I ain't seen them. So I'm calling cap all day long. I have been from the beginning. I'm still standing on that same thing.
What you got, LJ?
Dig it.
Well, I think from a historical standpoint, I'm gonna go back a little bit when I think and I ask you guys, look, do the methods of yesteryears, Malcolm, Martin, do they work in today's society, in today's mindset? And if we really think about it, that may be some of the issues why things like Black Lives Matter can't really have get a root into the community. And the reason I say that is, if you think back in Martin's time and things like that, most people didn't have anything, right? So it was easy to formulate together for a common cause because there was nothing to really lose, right? It was the political side of it was kind of not as prevalent in that sense on our side because we didn't have anything as a whole. So when you come together, it's just a little easier to formulate a plan and follow through with it because no one's worrying about losing a job that they didn't never have or losing a status that they never had. So fast forward in today's society where people are successful, they have things going on for themselves, they've reached a certain status, it becomes kind of convoluted with what people expect of themselves and where they want to go in life. And so then it becomes I feel like a little bit more difficult to keep that cohesiveness because everybody's in different stages. You know what I'm saying? So you can easily infiltrate, you can easily manipulate, you can easily divert, send someone else on a different route because everybody's not on the same page. You have the have-nots and the haves, and they're all mixed together now. So I think that's where we're having an issue. And then if you really look around the globe, I'm seeing this really, it's not just in our community. I'm seeing it in any uprising, any people trying to make change. Like if you look back what happened with Egypt, people had a plan, they had a right idea, but there was no plan to finish. It's the plan to start, but no plan to finish. Like you just said, you didn't see anything happen in the community, right? Well, who was the board that said, okay, when we get this money, we need to go build a school here. We need to go hire the people in the community. Where was that board? You know what I'm saying? All the thing you heard was, this is wrong. Yeah, we already know that.
Absolutely.
Now, this is always a loaded for me, because you know my brain is racist in all kinds of ways. But I'm gonna talk from the perspective of being a community leader for this conversation. All right, so I served in leadership for a charter school in East Point, Fulton Leadership Academy. I was on the founding board for the Atlanta Urban League Young Professionals. You know, I've served in PTAs, school governance councils. I'm on the ground running. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Trying to things move. So when Black Lives Matter came along, I never saw it for the corporation that it eventually became. You know what I mean? I used it as a rallying call to provide awareness with little to no expectation of a corporation supporting me, because in my mind, I needed people to just know that this stuff is still going on. Yeah. So you peddling those streets, and you're trying to get some things done, but nobody's connecting to the issues. So I did like the fact that not necessarily the hashtag, but it did make people more alert, if you will.
Right.
So my expectation of it was low, because all I wanted people just to be aware. So when I walk through the door and say, hey, these are the programs I have, you now know they have relevance in your community. They now say, hey, I need you to step up and come on in. But now this is where things the gray area start coming. Once that corporation did start forming, that money started being raised, now I'm looking for grants.
Right.
Looking for that funding y'all talking about.
Yeah, as you should.
Trying to help push these agendas that have already started, which then makes me question, what was your agenda? Was it just awareness, or was it to transform? You know what I mean? And help. You know what I mean? So I'm involved in a lot of things now in terms of workshops and discussions about how do we get these philanthropists to support these movements. There's a lot of people who have a lot of grassroots programs, a lot of grassroots organizations that could have benefited from that 90 million we're talking about. That was real funding. Out here grinding, trying to make that stuff happen. And then, but to your point, I don't know if you're saying it like I heard it. It's like they jacked the movement, man. They just came on in and jacked the movement, man. Yeah. You know what I mean? For real. So now people like me and you all that go out there and grind every day and trying to make changes with the youth, we now got to fight for credibility. We got to fight again to say, hey, my movement is legit, man.
It took us back.
Now I gotta spend too much time trying to sell myself versus telling the stories and how they can help others. You know what I mean? So I wrote down a few things, man. We need more advocacy just in general. And to your point, LJ, about old school methods, I do think they work as long as you're consistent. They were always filled with, legislative moves, you know what I mean? And so my wife, she works in the social justice space too, you know what I mean? And so she works with people to help identify attorneys for helping brothers in the system, helping people in the system, Black and brown people in the system. So I would say the new form of that protest can come through like our platforms, like this discussion we're having. Everything is going technology-wise, you know what I mean? We're not on the ground, humping and, but with picket signs, but shoot, I could talk to a brother in California, tell him what's going on in Atlanta, you know what I mean? We got to find like I said, I always say my tribe. Right on. People who are trying to make things happen, trying to make things move. And I think it can happen that way, but it just presented differently. You know what I mean? Which leads to the other part. We need some organization. Right. And we need an agenda. I think we talked about this in a previous show, but we need to come together as just men, really, and take control of our communities and come up with an agenda that fits. I don't say from a basic point that we can all rally around, and then we can kind of throw our own individual specific things into that generalized agenda that impacts most of our communities. Let me let y'all get in because we're running low.
So I just want to say something right quick. What you just said, we had that back in the day, like when my pop was coming up. We had the Black Panther Party, and they had chapters all over the country without technology. We got infiltrated with technology, basically, and it separated us. That's how I look at it sometimes. Because with this technology that we have, we should be able to have chapters all over this country just on some Black positivity shit. You know what I'm saying? Just on knowing who the fuck we are
Right.
because we
Right.
didn't lost knowledge of self. You understand what I'm saying? So we got to start from
That
there
part.
first. You know what I'm saying? So because they need to know what they're fighting for. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's why a lot of us is lost, especially that young generation. They got no clue who they are. If they knew that they was kings and queens, they wouldn't be acting like they acting. It ain't even worth it. But you made a great point. We had chapters back then, real
But
tribes.
I think along the lines of, kind of what you was asking, LJ, of is it the most effective way? It's kind of a catch-22. I think nowadays with us having, more economic power, then we need to fight economically. That's how every other, people are fighting, and that's why they getting results. You don't hear about, Korean lives matter. You don't hear
Yeah,
about
man.
Indian lives matter. You don't hear
Yeah.
about Mexican lives
They
matter
banking
because
off of them.
they speaking with them dollars, and them
Yeah.
folks know we play with them wrong. They
Yeah.
gonna put them dollars. I don't know if y'all seen that one clip where shoot they did too much with I don't know what background it was, but it looked like some Mexican folks who was working somewhere, and they fucked around and did something. Well, don't you know one of them dudes walked out the ship and
And
everybody
everybody left.
everybody
Everybody. I
walked.
saw that.
And when I know they like you're not playing
Yeah.
with us like
I
that,
saw
bro.
that.
If
Yeah.
LeBron ain't straight, you're not straight because we're
Yeah.
not straight. So it's
We
like
ain't doing that.
we
We
get
ain't
more
doing that.
about that. It's gonna be a difference. And
Yeah.
then I think also along the lines of the technology, it should be easier than ever to do subversive movements at this point with the level of communication everybody
Right.
has. Like one thing I will say in terms of the Black Lives Matter summer, the people gave it to their ass all summer.
Yeah.
Them folks
Yeah.
kept them. The people kept them on
Yeah.
their heels all
Yeah.
summer
They was
because
on
them
their
people was on
ass.
social media and they was sending waves of folks out like,
Yeah.
okay, we gotta go to work. We got a whole nother wave coming.
Yeah.
Y'all get our ship. Y'all coming back. So it was like the
Yeah.
people to the point they can overwhelm it with just manpower. But we've always seen that bait and switch, man, from that 40 acres and a mule we still owe
Right.
to damn, a whole bunch of other stuff that we just don't ever get because it's like we send the wrong people in the meeting at the end whenever they be ready. But I think all of that is done on purpose. It ain't none of it by accident.
Right.
All right, it's time to throw that flag, baby. It's time
What's
to throw
up,
that
Rev?
flag.
What's up, Rev?
It's been rich discussion. So LJ, you gonna go ahead and kick us off, and keep in mind we got to wrap this up.
Yeah, I won't keep y'all long, but what I will say is, that's a valid point, Trip, about the money, controlling and doing things like that. But I think even with technology, something about technology, as far as yes, we have the ability to reach more people, but in a sense, it almost takes away people's authenticity, when they deal with each other. It's like superficial in a sense, almost. Like if you look at most people who are walking around today with a phone in their hands, that's all they do. So it's easy, even on social media, to say, hey man, I like that. But
That's a good
okay,
point.
how do you like it? Just pushing the like, or
Right.
are you actually participating in my movement or in my actions or whatever that you're saying that you like? So I think it gives people too much of a cushion to sit in the background and be like, oh yeah, 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 yeah. But really, they're not making any efforts to further the cause or further, the movement. So that part, and then I think, like I said, man, we got to have an end game. At the end of the day, standing up at the top of the mountain, that's cool, but you need to have, before you get up and stand up, you need to have everything in place, what's going to happen after the change, and how to maintain it once it has changed. But all the time we keep getting into these ruts where we get it to the door, then people start making things happen, then all of a sudden they lose the focus. It goes right back to its original spot.
Right.
All right, Q, we gonna treat you like the king you are. What's your parting thoughts?
As far as everything, man, for me, we got to get back to the roots of how things once were. Like how he was saying, does the old work in the new? Some of it can. I mean, they were actually making things happen, at one point in time. It's just that, okay, you can't do it, but if they would be able to be alive now and say, all right, if we wouldn't have done this, that, and the third, it would have continued on the way it was supposed to. And I think that if we can take some of those things that they used to do, because you got to have a blueprint to work off of. And I think that blueprint was working once, until we got infiltrated with some things. So now that we're here, we can look at that blueprint and say, well, we saw where they went wrong. And now we can add to what we have now in this day and age, apply it to some of that, mix it all together. I don't think we can lose. I don't think we can lose. You know what I'm saying? Because they did the same thing that we need to do now. We got to teach the young. That has always been the key. You got to teach the young, whether it was us when we was young and somebody was trying to teach us, or now we didn't survive everything that we've been through, and we see our younger generation that needs to be taught something because they are letting loose. I just saw last night in Pennsylvania somewhere, a 6-year-old.
Oh yeah, now kill the teacher.
Elementary school.
Yeah.
Put one in the teacher. If you don't think this is not a spiritual war, I don't know where your mind at.
You said something that I have quick things, but Trip, I want you to finish us off. But one just real quick. We just want to offer a little pushback to LJ's comment that we didn't have nothing to lose back then. We had everything to lose because the things we're talking about right now is what we had. We had our own economic power. We had our own education system. Yeah. You know what I mean? We had everything in-house. It was just that somebody came along, spiritual warfare, and made us believe that what we didn't have was not enough. What we did have was not enough. But I understand the fight. And we just met some systemic things that wanted us to push to allow us to grow more, but just other people abandoned ship, and that caused a lot of our issues, and it's still prevalent today.
Still prevalent. Yeah.
Man, I'm gonna keep it brief, man. I want to start off by shouting out Dr. Claude Anderson, because he's got a lot of good things in terms of agenda and just programming that we need. Also, shouts out to Ice Cube with the agenda for Black America, or the manifesto that he wrote up. And shout out to the young people. I will say that, man. The youth, these young people, they not, this is a different breed, man. It's a real revolutionary bunch, man. Yeah. So I just want to salute y'all. Howdy y'all keep doing what y'all doing, because these young people really not going. It's a lot of people kind of our age range, the middle age. A little bit older, have been pacified and or scared off, and they're just whooping up pounds of cats. Like, bro, I gotta raise my family and handle my business. But these young people is out there, out there. Like they want, but them people damn near went in the CNN broadcast center.
Yeah, man. They with the shit, man. Yeah.
So with that being the case, I think times are changing, but with times changing, we've got to change our mind state, and just ask for more, and also hold ourselves more accountable, because I think two things that we run into. Number one, Q, you talked about education. That's the biggest problem. It's like how you can't bite the hand that feeds you. We're gonna run up and do all this, but then we still send our kids to the public schools.
Right.
And like how if you so worried about these people that are in charge of us and they teaching our young, we're gonna always be subservient. So it's like some of it, we gotta roll our sleeves up and be willing to do the things that we don't want to do and put forth and do extra to really gain more autonomy. And other than that, I think also, and this is to everybody, this ain't black, white, indifferent, man. I think we're at a time in which social media and just people's hearts have changed to where you can't brutalize folks how you used to. You can't do some of the stuff because across the board, it's just so many eyes on you, and there's so many people now that's gonna call it out to where if you was out in those protests, you seen everybody out there, male, female, young, old, black, white, indifferent, because wrong is wrong is wrong.
Right.
Is wrong, wrong.
Right.
So in that regard, man, shouts out to everybody that's an ally and everybody that's in the trenches, and some people that we calling allies really doing more of the work than folks in the skin, and then you got some folks in the skin that's quicker to cut your throat. So,
man,
it's a different time out here, man. It's a really different time. So everybody, keep pushing and keep doing what you're doing, but let's create more communities and work together. You might not get everybody, but work with the people that's working with you.
That's it. And at the end of the day, fellas, what do we say?
Hey, man, does it work for you?
Does it work for you? 3-yard play, baby.
All right.
Hey, and before we cut up out of here, man, shouts out again to our guests, man. Quincy, and y'all check him out, man. GetItOffYourChest.com. And y'all check out the Get It Off Your Chest podcast. Hey,
Oh yeah.
3R play. We appreciate y'all, and we just trying to link up, man. Work with folks out here that's working, man.
This is real. This is real, man. This is real,
Appreciate
man. We're gonna
you.
do this again, dog.
Yeah, appreciate your
Hey,
thoughts.
good
Thank you
looking. We
for
can't wait to
sharing,
pop
brother.
up on
Thank
your
you for sharing.
joint.
Absolutely. Vice versa.
Appreciate
My
you,
bad,
man.
Thomas. What'd you say? I'm sorry. Timo, what'd you say just now?
No, I'm just saying thank you for sharing. Thanking Q for coming on and sharing his truth. You know what I mean? We need those stories. We need those.
Right.
We need those voices. We need those perspectives. You know, that
Right
3-yard
on,
play, baby. It's not we're not doing Hail Marys. We're not
Right
throwing
on.
Hail Marys.
Yeah.
Just trying to get
Trying to
3
get down
yards on the
the
cloud of dust. We're unstoppable if
Yes,
we work
sir.
together, baby.
Yeah. 3 yards, baby. yeah.
go.
Hey, much love, man. Like,
All right,
share,
man.
subscribe.
All
Y'all
right.
comment, man. Let us know your thoughts, please. I'm sure people got ideas on this as to what they think will be effective and or shit, what they feel about what happened, you know. So please comment. Let us know your thoughts on Black Lives Matter and just how we can affect change in the community. We out.
Peace. Peace.
Peace. You see, the thing that separates us from every other group of slaves is the fact that
Thank y'all for tuning in today and every day. And remember to keep running your 3-yard play.
Look at them mouths, we feel like flowers, they gon' grow. Oh, we gon' water season, watch that harvest flow. Whoa. I've been crunching numbers.
Cause we know heroes are made in the off season.
There should be no reason
And grind the slow is better than crashing out
we
for
get that
dough.
money bound for we don't want it.
I say, young brothers, remember,
Fulfill the promise.
I just get 3 yards every day. They can never
I can't
stop.
read that narrative, so ain't no need of calling us. You ain't never had to tell your kid being black was a sin, cause his skin was reflected through America. Taking care of us was just a handout, right? But it was fair when free labor was just as nice. I can bet you your life, your kids living alright. Cause me and
You
mine had
have
to
been
do
rocking
it
with
or
the
die every
3-yard
single
play
night.
podcast.
I get mine, yeah. You get yours, yeah. But together, nigga, we gon' get some more, yeah. Look at them mouths, we feel like flowers,
So
they
like,
gon' grow.
subscribe,
We
share.
gon' water
and
season,
let's
watch that
discuss.
harvest flow. Whoa. I've been
What's up with
crunching
us?
numbers, winter, fall, spring, and summer. There should be no
Thank
reason
you.
that the baby
Tuning in
never hunger.
to the 3-yard
We get
play
that money
podcast.
bound for, we don't run it. I only
Folks
pledge
onto
allegiance
it.
to, gon' fulfill the promise. Time and time again.